This was an amazing project. The Browns helped kickstart this idea with us. What I have found is that they are a proud group. The Auburn Engineers, they love this college, and they are so supportive. And so we had more than 100 families contribute to this project in order to bring this for our students for the future, and we're really, really proud of it. So Ed, I did a little homework on this, and I understand you graduated in '56. So that means that we won a championship after you left.
I was in the Army.
And then I understand you came back soon after that. So you came back to Auburn.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And so this is the astounding thing that I want to mention. So I understand you gave your first gift to this college in 1960. That's amazing.
We didn't have any money.
That's the point. I mean, that's the point, is that you know, I'm trying to describe that how much I appreciate the Auburn Engineers and how much they love their college here. And so the fact that you've been engaged with this college since 1960 makes me really proud. And I want to thank you for that, because it's not about just the philanthropy. You welcomed me into the dean's role. When I started as dean 8 years ago, you were at one of those first council meetings, one of the first people I talked to. And I really appreciate that, Ed. I felt welcomed by you and your colleagues. And I understand you've served on that council for a long time. And that is why we're a good college. Make no mistake, the strength of this college goes through our alumni council. And I just really want you to know how much that had an impact on me and how much I appreciate you and all that your family has done for Auburn, and the fact that you're all Auburn grads. I really love that. And so on behalf of the university, I just want to thank you for your continued support, all of you. We want to be a faculty and staff and student body that exemplifies excellence. And all we have to do is to look at the people that came before us for our examples. We wanted this building to be a place for those students to come together, not just for their classwork, but to become part of an engineering community, be part of an Auburn community, and to learn to become part of the Auburn family. We're given an opportunity here for these students to grow as engineers, and we're really grateful for it. So I have a little something that I'd like to present to you, if we could.
Hillary, thank you for facilitating. It's kind of been an ongoing thing with COVID, so it wasn't really easy at all. And of course, for your time today.
Oh, sure.
But, I just been thinking about this, and it seems like so often in life we don't really have the chance or the opportunity to tell people or show them what they mean to us. And never is that more true than my dad, because you can't out-share him, out-care him, you can't out-love him. He just, he's always above you and will do anything. And so I had this idea, and I thought, well, how can we honor him and let him know how we all feel? And so I went to Warren with my idea, and before I could even finish my sentence, he said, absolutely, we are doing that, absolutely. And so I just wanted you to know, I've just hardly ever known a person with higher character or integrity. And you have always modeled for us others above yourself, and you have such humility, and you walk humbly with God daily. And you just are a blessing to friends and acquaintances, and even strangers have been blessed by you. And but no one more than Jay and Mom and me and our families. And so I just hope that now that this is something tangible, and it's just a legacy that's permanent. And my prayer is that you'll know how much we love you, and that now other people can see that. So thank y'all.
Great job. Thank you.
They're starting to tear up. My own daughter's a student here at Auburn, and I was just thinking if we could emulate you and what you've just described, I would be very fulfilled. Thank you for sharing that. I have something special to present today. This is signed by the president of the university and by Kay Ivey, our governor. And it's a resolution that was signed in the governor's office, and we'd like to present this to you today. It says, whereas J. Edward Chapman graduated from Auburn University with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in 1956 and immediately started his career with Southern Bell Telephone Company. Whereas after serving 2 years in the Army Signal Corps, Edward returned to Southern Bell in 1958, where he worked in various capacities before retiring in Birmingham, Alabama. And whereas Edward worked for Bell South Telecommunications for 35 years, culminating in his appointment as Assistant Vice President for Network Planning, and whereas he demonstrated a strong commitment to Auburn University, Auburn Athletics, and the Samuel Ginn College of Engineering, making his first gift in 1960, and whereas Edward has been an active member of the Auburn Engineering Alumni Council and a lifetime member of the Auburn Alumni Association, and whereas he has remained committed to the Samuel Ginn College of Engineering by previously establishing the Chapman Family Endowed Scholarship, giving annually as a member of the Eagle Society, Ginn and Keystone Societies, and whereas Edward is a member of the university's 1856 and Sanford Societies, which are our most esteemed giving societies, as well as Tigers Unlimited All-American Society because of his support, and whereas Kathy Chapman Watley has been a generous supporter of Auburn University since 2012, through her most recent commitment, has chosen to honor her father. Now, therefore, be it resolved that a top floor study room in the Brown Copel Engineering Student Achievement Center be named the J. Edward Chapman Study Room in honor of his generous and ongoing dedication. Signed by Kay Ivey, Governor and President of the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Dean. Well, goes without saying, I'm overwhelmed. I can't thank you enough for this wonderful gift. I'm honored and I'm very, very appreciative for what y'all have done here. In addition to your gift to the school, I'm additionally appreciative for being able to be part of something to give back to Auburn Engineering. And to have my name on this study room is something I never expected, especially when I was struggling in those EE subjects and those courses. I never expected to get my name on anything, just hoped to get on a diploma somewhere. And it's meaningful even more than that to think that when I'm gone, that my name will still be around here.
Right.
So I just thank you so much. I was thinking back to the changes that have taken place since I first came on this campus as a freshman. And this is hard to say, 68 years ago when I came on this campus at API, Alabama Polytechnic Institute. And I guess we had 5,000 students about that time. What do we have, 28 to 30 now?
Right at 30,000.
30,000 now. I remember driving down from Birmingham by myself, and Mother said, "You let us know when you get there." So I go by the telegraph office and send a telegram back. Long distance calls were a big thing back then. So I drove on down Magnolia and came into Magnolia Hall, which was the boys' dorm.
Yeah, that's where the
And
Shelby
that's
Center
where
is.
Shelby Center is now. That's how the changes have taken place. This was in June of '52, and I came to Auburn right out of API, right out of high school, because in those days, if you were subject to the draft, military draft, but if you could get in a 4-year ROTC contract, then you were deferred for that time. So I signed up for the ROTC in 4 years. And thinking about ROTC, I think about the drill field down there. Y'all remember Wire Road used to start right there at the intersection of Magnolia and Donahue, and it went straight across where the girls' dorms are there now.
That's right.
And all on the right side was the drill field. And on Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons from 1 to 2, it was just covered up with Army and Navy and Air Force ROTC students. And when that 2 o'clock hit, it was like ants running out of that place. I remember so many changes. I studied vacuum tubes. Transistors were just being talked about at Bell Labs at that time. And semiconductors and printed circuits were just a dream. Somebody's eye. You walk around campus and you see these guys with slide rules, and you knew they were probably engineering. Yes, that's right. That's right. And I remember studying vacuum tubes, of course, but no transistors. I guess I had my first EE course in Ramsey. Admiral Sprague, who had been in World War II in the Navy. World War II just been over 7 years when I came on. And they called him 180-degree Sprague. He would go in his ship and shoot at the guns and turn around and get out. But that's where I first heard the EE formula, I equal E over R. I've used that a lot. I checked with Mark Nelms. I used to see him at lunch before the virus a lot. Every time I see him, I'd ask him, was I equal E over R still good? And he assures me that it's still good.
Still applies.
I remember the basement in Ramsey where I took DC machinery, Professor Nichols taught that. I remember one Monday morning, we came in after we had played Georgia Tech on Saturday in 1955. It was the first time we had beaten them in 15 years. And he started talking about that game, and my mind started wandering, and I didn't hear a word he said. After that, and the next day he gave us a quiz. I almost flunked because I didn't hear a word. Professor Nichols said, well, the other courses were in that building. That's why I was asking you about that building. It was the EE building, really. I don't even know the name of it.
It was the first electronics lab that Auburn had.
It had 2 really tall antenna towers on that building. And I'm not sure, but that might have been the first radio station, WAPI, out of Auburn.
Right? I didn't know that.
I'm not sure, but I know at WAPI started. But anyway, we went up those steps, like those metal steps on the north side.
Yep.
And
Between
there was
it
an
and
arch.
Texel.
There was an arch up there that said, the best electrical engineers in the world pass under this arch. And that arch was over in Brown at one time.
It is still. We're getting ready to reinstall it.
Well, David Irwin told me it was in storage or something, so I'm glad to hear that.
That's right.
But you go in that second floor and go in that first room, and Professor Kelly, or O'Kelly, I'm not sure, taught applied electromagnetism. And I can't remember if that's where I first heard of Maxwell's equations and Laplace transform, but I've used them every day since I got out.
I'm sure you have.
And Dr. Steer taught COM 2, Communications Engineering 2, and transmission lines in that same room. He was a great guy. I remember going over to his house one Saturday and helping me with something. Joe Dial was an instructor that he handled the labs in that building. That's where I built my first radio receiver vacuum tube. I had a soldering gun. I was the only one in the class, but Daddy had gotten me that. All the other guys kidded me because they had to use these big old soldering irons. But Joe Dial was something else. He had a wooden leg, and he had gotten it hurt in a motorcycle accident. And you'd go into his office and he'd get tired of wearing that leg and he'd prop it up against the wall. You'd go in and you'd see that leg. First thing you see. But anyway, he was a
I
tough.
haven't heard that one before. I've heard a lot of these, but I've never heard that one.
But Friday was the day you turned in your lab reports to him. And I just had a routine every Thursday night. That's when I did my lab reports and stayed up all night. And I remember seeing many sunrise on Friday morning to turn in those lab reports, but you go turn in your lab report, and it was always, I never really believed this, but I heard it, that he would take those lab reports and throw them down the steps. And the ones that got the farthest down, they got the best grade. And after I'd done all that work, it really, really hurt. But we had PE classes in Wilmore, and Wilmore, of course, been completely renovated since then. But Professor Sumner taught us, had transients. I still don't know what that was. Transients and COM 1, Communications Engineering 1. And I know that was the course that separated electrical. I know my best friend left electrical because of that course right there and went to mechanical. And it was tough. One of the other things that made it so tough about that time, we had a lot of guys that had been over in the Korea conflict and had been electronic technicians in the Navy, and they came back. And I remember one of the labs in Wilmore, I was standing there about 3 deep, looking over somebody's shoulder in an oscilloscope. I think we had 2. And these veterans had come in and they just took over the equipment because it was second nature to them. And they were getting all excited about this sawtooth wave on those oscilloscopes. And here I was trying to get excited just to learn how to turn the thing on. But we had some good times. I think we had one color TV in the lab somewhere. Can't remember whether I ever saw it, I just heard about it, but they certainly weren't selling color TVs back then. But it was a time when I had a rough time with courses, but I appreciate what those professors did. And I look back now and I see doors that have opened for me that I know wouldn't have opened without that Auburn degree and particularly that engineering degree. So I'm very, very appreciative of what was done there. I want to thank Kathy and Warren and Mary Catherine, who's not here, and Liv. As we said, they're all engineering graduates. Well, Auburn graduates. Liv's the only engineer I got. Industrial engineering 2 years ago. Works for HCA down in Florida, in Tampa.
Awesome.
Kathy is a 1985 graduate in education in Warren and business administration in '84. He heads up Watley, Birmingham Investment. And I also want to thank Lee and Jay, the other side of the family, for being here. Lee's in dental school over in Augusta, Georgia.
teaching
in the Georgia Medical. She graduated 3 years ago from Auburn in Bachelor of Science in Biology, Biomedical Sciences, majoring in pre-med, and she's come all the way from Augusta to be here. We thank you for Jay. He graduated in '95 from Auburn in Animal and Dairy Sciences.
That's a year after I came.
And,
I'm aging myself.
and now he's working at the University of Georgia in the athletic department
Oh,
as
really?
Director of Football Management.
Really?
So he's a surprise package today. We weren't expecting, he shows up and we weren't
Well, he's
expecting.
wearing blue.
That's right.
That's true love.
He can get you with a lot of Auburn questions and answers that he and Warren just explore over that. So, but Dean, I want to thank you for your vision
Oh, wow.
for this building. Like you've already told us about the study rooms, large and small, and the conference rooms and the meeting rooms, the enhancement to the student educational experience is unparalleled. I imagine that there's no other, very few, if any, other engineering schools in this country that have a facility like this. The meeting rooms, as you said, the wind tunnel out there under that grass.
That's right.
But I came up here, I guess, about a week after it opened back in the fall, and it was already just buzzing. I mean, it was
That's
full
right.
from the day it opened. The students really had a desire to be here, and they needed it,
They did. Yeah.
and it's really been used fantastically, and it's all because of your.
Well, no. The Dr. Benfield got it all started. Larry got it started. Larry definitely got all of this vision with the Shelby Center, and then we just kind of, continued what was natural. But I have to tell you something. I haven't been associated with college for 68 years, but I have been here for 26, almost 27.
That's hard to believe.
And I've walked up and down these sidewalks probably as much as anybody around here, or at least close to it. And this was something that we desperately needed for our students, because one thing that we've discovered is that when we put them on teams and we challenge them, just as you were describing, you learn a lot by wrestling a problem to the ground, staying up half the night, making friends with those people. I myself, I don't remember any of the people I went to the pub with in college, but I can name every person I worked on a major project, which is what you were just doing. And this is why I think engineering education is so dear to those that work their way through it, is because you solve problems together. And that's meaningful, really meaningful. And I'm glad that after 68 years, it's still really meaningful to you.
Yep.
And so I just think that's fantastic.
You were
Thank
supposed
you.
to tell that we had just been married a
I
couple
was
of
going to
months.
say that, but I want to thank
Oh.
Hillary for all her work coordinating and putting this together. I learned many years ago at tip-off club banquets, if you won't get something done, that you call.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, done.
I just know who to call.
No.
She's a dynamo.
I have one PS postscript to add after all this. Y'all heard me talk about ROTC and electrical engineering. I was assigned to the Army Signal Corps because of electrical. When I got out of school, like you said, I went to work in Birmingham with Southern Bell, but for 6 months, and then I went in the Army, and I went to assigned to Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, at the Signal School. When I finished there, I was assigned to 1st Army Headquarters, Governor's Island, New York, which was right out in New York, in the harbor, right across from the Statue of Liberty. And I was in the signal section, electronics branch, and right across the street from the signal section was the Corps of Engineers group. And there was this bird colonel over there in the Corps of Engineers, and he had 2 daughters. Both of them in college at that time. One of them was living with her folks on Governor's Island, quarters 19A, and she was going to school in Manhattan. And she has sitting right there, and she's followed me all the way back to Auburn.
I'll tag her now.
The only other thing I'll say about her is that I guess we hadn't been married but a short time, and our old black and white TV quit working. And she said, well, you're an electrical engineer. Why can't you fix that? And I said, I guess I spent too much time with Maxwell equations on the platform to fix TV. So Dean, thank you again.
Well,
And thank you, Warren and Kathy, and for those great words that you said.
This is the highlight of my week. This is definitely the best hour I've spent all week. I'm really proud of you with your family today, and thank you from the Auburn family for helping, continuing to help us. And I'm so glad you're here today. I know these are unusual circumstances, but I think it was just beautiful. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Well, I hate to do this, but we're going to